And we're live, so hello and welcome along to another exciting show of The Face of Entrepreneurs. My name is Stuart Harris and I'm a co-host of the show this evening. And I'd like to introduce you to our other co-host. It's a wonderful lady, an educator, coach, a writer, a social entrepreneur, and of course a business entrepreneur. And I'd like to welcome along Wendy Grenfell. Hi Wendy, how are you this evening? Good to see you.
Hi Stuart. Thank you, lovely to be here, and I love that word entrepreneur, which is why I got involved in the Face of Entrepreneurs. There's something really energetic and upbeat about being an entrepreneur and the word entrepreneur. So yeah, happy to be here this evening and can't wait to hear all about Tamara and all the fantastic things that she's been doing.
Yeah, and Wendy's just mentioned who our other guest is, and I want to give her a really welcome introduction as well. But just before I do, Wendy, can I perhaps ask you to talk a little bit about the Face of Entrepreneurs and you know, what it means, what it does, and what are the core pillars of the entity?
Okay, so the Face of Entrepreneurs is a couple of things. It's a physical live in the flesh event if you're lucky enough to be located in Melbourne, or if you're visiting lovely sunny Melbourne. We have regular events which take place around about every 6 weeks. And we also have a radio show, and you obviously know there's a radio show because you're watching the radio show now, and there's an oxymoron, watching the radio show. I should be saying listening to the radio show, but technically it's a Google Hangout, so you're also watching. So yeah, two prongs for the Face of Entrepreneurs. It was founded last year by Federico Re and his lovely team, and they decided that it was important for entrepreneurs to get together to network, and they started to do that through Meetup, the Meetup forum. Then they decided, you know what, lots of meetup groups have networking for entrepreneurs or small business owners. Why don't we also celebrate just chilling out and relaxing? So connecting together in a network way, but really just taking time out from our busy lives and doing something special to relax and unwind. So that's why the events have really been taking on a focus of activity. We've had beach volleyball, we've had rock climbing, we've had ice skating. We all try and weave a bit of a learning experience and a theme into each event, and we're going to be doing that more so in 2015. So not only is it about connecting and unwinding, but it's also about taking some skill learning, some specific skills and learning that you can, and knowledge that you can take away and use in your role as an entrepreneur or a small to medium business owner. That's the main target market that we're focusing on.
Awesome, and so you know, it's open for many people, and I know myself that there is opportunity not only for entrepreneurs but also for people that are thinking about starting business or going into business for themselves.
True.
And look, we have a wonderful guest here who can tell us a little bit about that. This lovely lady, in her own way, is very much a self-made business entrepreneur, and she's done a lot of this through some quite tough market segments, or market sectors you might call, being real estate, property development, and now she's branching out into TV. And I really couldn't think of anything more tougher than any of those sectors. But without any more ado, I'd like to introduce you to Tamara Wrigley. Tamara, welcome along to the show this evening. Good to have you along too.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Can I get you to tell us a little bit about yourself and you know, what got you started in business and becoming a self-made business entrepreneur?
Yeah, look, I was one of these people who didn't have a clue what I wanted to do when I left school. I grew up in Tasmania, and school finished at grade 10, so it was about 16 when you left school. Had no idea. I started hairdressing, which I didn't really like too much, and then I moved back up to Queensland, where at that point, at the age of 18, I got into just a receptionist role at a real estate agent. And from there, she sort of says to me, well, do you want to do property management? And I'm like, oh, what's that? You know, at 18, you don't really know a lot about, I didn't know a lot about real estate. And so I did a 12-month traineeship in property management and at the REIQ, and that's where I met my now husband, Peter. And from there, we sort of joined forces. He was a property developer, and he was developing a lot of properties in St. Lucia and Toowong. And as a result of that, he was then selling them and keeping the managements. And from there, we grew the office. So we had this little shoebox office in St. Lucia where we had probably 80 properties. And then we got so big that we had to move location, and we moved over to Racecourse Road at Hamilton. So yeah, from there we just grew and grew and grew, and we had 2 offices, and then the 3rd office and the 4th, and now we've just about 6 years ago bought our 5th office on the Sunshine Coast, which is a First National brand, and it's just grown from strength to strength. We bought that 6 years ago with 170 properties, and now we've got close to 1,000 properties. So it's just growing.
And that's just amazing in itself, because it's very difficult to grow business, and I've experienced that. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Tell us about some of the tricky patches that you've had to endure, and what you did to get over those problems or obstacles.
Yeah, look, in real estate, and especially property management, everyone's offering the same thing. So I guess you've got to create a point where why are you different from the agent down the road? You're all charging the same commission. You're all charging the same fees. You're all promoting properties on the same website. What sets you apart from your competitors? And I think that's where we had to come up with some great concepts and some great ideas. But I think it all boils down to knowledge is power, knowing your industry, knowing the location that you're in, and being a real personable person. Know what you're talking about. And so I think that's what set us apart, whereas Pete had a lot of knowledge. He grew up in St. Lucia and Geelong. He had a lot of knowledge about the area, and about the people, and he knew everybody. And he's just one of these people that get out. He goes to Rotary, he goes to Lions, so he's just involved in the community, and actually listening to people and what they want, that customer service. So I think for us, or for me, what set us apart, or what changed the focus for us, is getting back to the basics and making sure that you have your customer service covered. Systems and policies and procedures were huge for me, because I'm a list person and a structural person. So it's like McDonald's. You go into McDonald's and you can order 10 cheeseburgers, and they'll all come out looking exactly the same. And that's the sort of systems that you want in the office. You want to know that every time you do a procedure, it's done exactly the same way every single time.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I remember studying the McDonald's concept once, as a best practice visit when I was working for an organisation, and it was just amazing how powerful the processes were, and the policy manuals in place behind the process and so on. So Tam, what I'm really interested in today is learning more about how you springboarded from real estate into iStyle TV, because I wouldn't imagine that's an easy shift, because you've gone from one particular demographic and career to another. So do you want to describe to the listeners and the viewers a little bit about how that happened and what you're doing now?
Absolutely. Well, I only ever knew real estate, so for me, I could live and breathe it. So then when I made the decision, it was in 2000, probably halfway through 2003, I made the decision to go into television and become a TV presenter. It's always been a passion of mine. It's always something I've really wanted to do, but just never really had the drive to get there. I became quite ill in 2013, and after spending quite a lot of time in hospital, I then made that decision of I need to start doing the things in life that make me happy. Real estate, I got to a point with the real estate and with the office that I wasn't excited about going into the office every day. I'd lost that passion, I'd lost my spark, that the light in my eyes when it came to my business. And at that point, I thought, I need to step back. I need to let Pete run the office, and I need to start concentrating on the things that I want to do in life, what I love, my passions, and TV presenting was one of them. So in the beginning of January 2014, I came up with iStyle TV, because I love my fashion, and I love shoes, and I love everything to do with the fashion industry. And I created a TV show where I basically can travel around Australia interviewing fashion designers, labels, fashion houses, and just interviewing them basically about their story, a bit like what you're doing here, but it's on camera. Where everyone's got a great history and a great story to get them where they are today, and we look at people and go, oh look, he just makes clothes, but they don't know the process of how they actually got to that point where they became a famous fashion designer. So that's what I do. So we're heading down to Sydney next week to do that as well, with some big new fashion designers coming through the realms.
Oh wow, that's absolutely so awesome, and like it's a beautiful example for our viewers of catalyst for change. You know, one of those moment of truth moments where really you were forced to change, and get more in line with where you were heading and a passion. And also, you know, it's one of those, my God, this gets me out of bed in the morning moments where your life is now on track again, and I can see that, and I can feel it, and I can hear it, that you're totally passionate and involved in what you do. So I'm imagining that you're springing out of bed in the morning again.
I am. It's great. It used to get to a point, though, with the office, and this is probably my big wake-up call, is the anxiety that I used to feel, like the churning in my stomach as I'm driving down the street heading towards the office. And, you know, it's that feeling of, I don't really want to be here anymore. And, you know, it's dragging me away from what it is that I actually do love to do. And although I still love the office, and, you know, it gives us the lifestyle that we've got today, it made me realise that, okay, I need to start doing my passion in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can all be inspired by that. And if we haven't done it already, people that are watching can really be inspired by, what are you waiting for? And I think that's beautiful. I feel sick in the stomach as I'm driving to the office. Perfect litmus test, for want of a better word, of that it's time to change.
Yeah. And I think too with me, you know, I'd been doing real estate for 20 years. I know it inside out. There was no challenge left. There was no, you know, I've hit the level. I think in 2013 I won Corporate Businesswoman of the Year here on the Sunshine Coast. You know, and I got to a level where, well, where do I go now? You know, I've conquered real estate. I've conquered you know, I train real estate. I've done everything inside and out when it comes to real estate. There's nothing left for me to do, and I think and that made me a little bored because there was no challenge.
Yeah, and that's the secret too, isn't it? As human beings, we need that challenge. Otherwise, lethargy sets in, and all sorts of other things as well. That's brilliant. Thank you. So, Stuart, I'll give you some airtime now. Over to you.
That's right. Thanks, Wendy. I'm just conscious of the fact that we seem to be having some technical difficulties, and we have had the session freeze a couple of times while you've been speaking. So if anyone's watching and listening in and you're experiencing these, we sincerely apologise. It's just one of those quirky things that happens occasionally with Google Hangouts. But one of the exciting things about Google Hangouts is, of course, that we can all talk to each other like this from various points around the globe. And I'm sitting here in a hotel room in Perth, and Wendy is down in the south of the country in Melbourne, and Tamara is up, of course, in the Sunshine Coast. So we're virtually in the three corners of Australia, and this technology allows us to bring you this sort of event and this sort of conversation. And today we've got Wendy Greenfield from TFE and myself, and we're talking to Tamara Wrigley from iStyle TV. And Tamara, I'm really keen to understand how it is you can actually make a decision to go down a certain business path and then make that happen, because I know a lot of our watchers are probably sitting there saying, well, how do I do that? How do I go out and start a business along the lines of something that I'm passionate about? And you've just done that, and I'd like you, if you could, just to sort of take us through that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I had no idea what I was getting into, because I've never done TV presenting before or created my own TV show. For me, you know, I had this great concept, and I've got some great businesses here on the coast that have helped me get started. And I think it's all about, you know, alliances and knowing the right people. But to be honest, and I actually engaged in this fabulous business coach. She's from Melbourne, and she's helped me a lot. So I think when it comes to starting a whole new business from scratch, you sort of got to give yourself a game plan and say, I always said, okay, 2 years, I'm going to give myself 2 years. I don't expect to make any money out of this business for the first 2 years, because it's a startup company. It's starting from scratch. But she's taught me, you know, to think outside the square. What's your aim? What's your goal? What's your aim? Where do you want to be in, you know, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? and we've just driven, you know, it's just something that I've driven towards. You've got to have the passion for it. You've got to want to make it succeed. So I have the amount of hours that I've put in the last 12 months has really seen me soar, and we're to the point where last year it all started to roll, you know, in a good way, where I started getting people like Just Jeans contact me, Target Australia, X Factor to interview, you know, finalists about their journey. I'm just about to head down to Sydney, you know, to do other up-and-coming fashion designers, and hopefully this year I'll be heading to the Logies to interview on the red carpet. And that's all in 12 months. But that's from me working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night in front of my computer, building databases, contacting people, email, you know, setting up my own database of clients, and that's just from going on the internet and, you know, Googling fashion designers or, you know, PR agencies or whatever, you know, the business that you're in, getting all that information together, and then just creating, it's all about, you know, creating a presence. So every week I would send out a newsletter to these people, so they're constantly seeing iStyle TV pop up in front of their face. You know, you can't just, you know, send one email and think that that's going to be enough. It's, you know, it's repetitive. It's that same old. You see that same ad over and over on the TV, and eventually it sticks into your head. So it's that same repetitiveness of, you know, you've got to get yourself out there, build your brand and build your name.
Absolutely, and look, what I'm also hearing there in what you're telling us is it's all about commitment, and what you're saying is you're embracing this in its entirety and going full on to make this what you want to make it. You've decided this is what you want to do, and you're spending all of your time and committing all of that time into this event to make it a successful outcome for yourself.
Yep.
Now, just pursuing that a little bit further, so if somebody who's watching the show says, look, I really want to start this business, and you've talked a little bit there about saying I'm not going to make any money, how would you tell our listeners how to manage that in the first instance? Because, you know, many make that mistake to say I've got to make some money up front, otherwise I'm not going to make it in the long run. Yep. Talk us through what you do and how you make that work.
Look, I don't go in. I didn't go into iStyle TV for the sole purpose of making money. I went into iStyle TV because I love fashion. I love presenting on camera. I think if you go in with the wrong intent, then it's never going to happen. You know, you've got to go in with the right intent to start with. So don't go in going, okay, you know, day 2, okay, I've got to start making money. You know, go in with the intent of, you know, start with the end in mind. What is it that you're wanting to create? So am I going to create a business that at the end of the day is going to be worth a multi-million-dollar company, or is it going to be worth somebody to purchase? You know, it is hard. I learned early in life that you are going to be your own success. You can't expect other people to hand it to you, or you can't expect, you know, that whole, you know, people just think that they fall into your lap. You know, I think you've got to create your own wealth, and you've got to create your own success, and you've got to think outside the square. You know, I think for me, my business coach says, I used to always think Sunshine Coast and local, you know, and she says, why are you thinking local? Think nationally. You know, you want iStyle to be national, not just a local TV show on the Sunshine Coast. And since, you know, I've had that conversation with her, you've seen the shift. And it's about promoting yourself. It's that perception of you know, you are Australia's leading fashion TV show. You know, believe in yourself, believe in your concept, and it will start to come in. The money will start to come in. But don't for me, don't pressure yourself and stress yourself out about making money. No startup company, I don't believe that any startup company would make money within the first 3 to 6 months. You know, it's establishing yourself first, and then you will reap those rewards.
And Wendy, you've had plenty of experience with that as well too, haven't you? It's you know, starting up, and you know, it's not about getting those dollars rolling first. It's about setting up the base, the foundation, and then building it. You've had similar experiences? Mm.
And then knowing what phase of the business run you're in, knowing that you're either in the startup run and you're not going to make money in the first 6 months, and then you still might be in the startup phase for another 6 months, and the money might dribble in. It's being realistic and knowing exactly which phase you're in. That's really valuable. I'd actually like to ask you, Tam, who is your ideal client? So describe them, or your typical client that you're engaging with now, and when they engage with you, what's the benefit for them? What's the big takeaway from them from engaging with you, your services, basically?
Yeah, so with iStyle TV, I mean, we produce a high definition quality 5 to 7 minute interview about their brand, their label, and that's something that then they can repurpose. For us, it's about brand exposure. I had a lovely lady who she works from home in here on the Sunshine Coast, and she has these gorgeous caftans, but no one knew she existed. And it was just by chance that I got in contact with her and did an interview, and her business has just gone gangbusters since the interview. I think we've had nearly 1,300 views of her episode. She has sent me this beautiful email saying, you know, her sales have increased, her exposure, I guess, with social media has increased, that whole benefit she has seen rise just from doing that one interview. And that's where I want to go, and that's what I want to promote with a lot of the medium to small businesses that really a lot of people don't know about, but they should. You know, we all know about, you know, the Alex Perrys and the, you know, Peter Morrissey and all those sort of people. But what about the people that, you know, have really got talent, but then they don't really have the money to support and go further? And that's what the show's about, is to help them get to the next level in their business, as well as exposing iStyle TV and myself. But it helps them across all social media platforms, because that's where it's all going now, you know, the internet, YouTube, social media, yeah. So it's just about promoting them through all those avenues as well.
Fantastic. And it sounds like you really do stand out from the crowd as well, because you use high quality stuff, for want of a better word. And you clearly know how to interview well and bring out the personality of the person and really showcase them. So set them up to look their best as well.
Yep.
So you're almost like a catalyst for business change, aren't you? So it's not just about helping them expose their brand. You just mentioned that you'd like to help shift them and really propel them forward. So in some ways, yeah, you're a business transformation agent too.
Well, yeah, this year I've decided to go down the whole business coaching realm as well. So that's a new arm to my brand now, is business coaching. I love to see people succeed, and I don't like people to sit there and watch people struggle when it comes to their businesses. They've obviously had a passion and a reason that they wanted to start that business. And so a few of my clients, you know, it's about bringing that light back into their eyes about their business and get them excited and empowered again about what they were originally achieving by starting their own business. Yeah, so that's been good.
Sounds like you're almost like what you want for people. Your burning desire, or the thing that you get out of bed in the morning, is you want to create abundance or orchestrate abundance for people. And it sounds like real estate was, you know, you were setting them up in their lovely homes, so that was the personal abundance. And now you've just moved that you know, this is why I get out of bed in the morning, to business.
Yes.
Now you're moving that abundance across to the business world and the business side of people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Stuart, over to you.
Tamara, you've got a lot happening, and it seems to be going places in quite a hurry by what we've heard tonight. Tell us about, I mean, I know you've talked about it a little bit, but tell us about where you're going, what the future is, and you know, where you see your business, say, in 5 years' time.
Yeah, look, I would love, my ultimate goal would be to be on like paid TV or free-to-air TV with the show of some sort. Like, I'm not saying it has to be, you know, the iStyle TV concept, but something to do with fashion, something to do with TV presenting, whether it's, you know, hitting the fashion parades and reporting on those sort of aspects, but definitely working on television, and definitely somewhere in that fashion/style field.
Okay.
Yeah. I could be the new Real Housewife of the Sunshine Coast or something like that. I don't know.
Well, you're certainly leading the way, and I don't see why anyone couldn't follow what you're doing. I mean, it's certainly something that a lot of people desire to do, and I hope that by listening in tonight, that people take what you've told us. I think you've given us a lot of poignant points, and utilise that and go and make something happen for themselves. Wendy, did you have any other questions for Tamara?
No, I don't. I'm all good.
Okay, so look, Tamara, we usually round out with some sort of golden nuggets that we like to give our audience so that they can take away and perhaps kickstart something or even just think about it. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to think of a couple that you can provide tonight. But I just wanted to sort of bring up some of the key points that you've left us with already, really, and I think they're really the top quality. These are the things that people should take away when they're contemplating doing what you're doing or even just starting their own business. And the first item, a game plan. And that's obviously either a chart or a map or a set of notes or whatever it is, but you've got some mapping of where you want to go. You talked about having a coach or a mentor. You invested a lot of time. You've talked about I committed to the time, and I'm giving that all the time I can possibly give it at the moment. And look, I don't believe I've ever heard from any entrepreneur that has achieved success without dedicating a lot of time. And the last one here is don't focus on the money. The money will ultimately come if you're committed and passionate and give it all of your commitment. And Wendy, perhaps if I can come to you and just ask you to give us a couple of your takeaways from this event tonight.
Yeah, I would like to add to that by saying I picked up that Tamara is always playing to her strengths. So she really knows what she's good at, and so she uses that. And she was also able to identify what skills she has from her previous world, her previous career that she can apply. And the example I think of is when you were talking about, Tamara, the databases, building up the strong databases and contacts. To me, that's exactly what real estate agents are fantastic at. I think they do that better than anyone else. So clearly you've transferred those old skills across to the new, and they're really holding you in great stead.
Yep, absolutely.
So we'll come to you, Tamara, and I know you've got a couple of pearlers because you've given us heaps already. So let us know what we can take away.
I guess what you need to take away is do your research, know what it is that you're getting yourself into, and yeah, so as you said, do the game plan. Start with the end in mind. Know where you want the ultimate goal is, and then work up how you're going to get to that goal in the long run. For me, huge policies, procedures, systems, checklists. Your business can't run without them. You'll be a chaotic mess and pulling your hair out if you don't have some sort of structure within your business. For me, again, too, is customer service. I'm this big believer, and I do it now with iStyle TV, is under promise and over deliver. And that's one of my best, I guess, advice to give to somebody. Under promise, over deliver, because then you'll look like a rock star if you say, I'm only going to do this, but then you actually give them this, this amazing outcome. Just, I guess, know your stuff. Knowledge is power. And you will, if you don't know what you're talking about, it comes across and it shows that you're not confident. And the only example I could probably have in this regard is there was a 18-month period where I stopped doing real estate after we sold our Hamilton office. We went around the world for 4 months, and when we came back, I got into business and finance with Mercedes-Benz. I didn't have a clue on how to sell insurance and how to make somebody, finance a car. So I was out of my depths and out of my realms, and it showed. Like I had no confidence. I would blabble about trying to get them insurance because I didn't know what I was selling and I didn't know what I was doing. You've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to know what you're selling.
Yeah, and that's really great. Thanks, Tamara. Wendy, did you want to add something there?
No, I just wanted to say great advice.
Yeah, so look, we've been talking to Tamara Wrigley from iStyle TV, and we've had a fabulous event tonight, and thanks very much to Tamara, who's come across superbly, obviously with the experience of being in TV, but we really appreciate your presence, Tamara, and thank you very, very much. Also, Wendy Grenfell from TFE has been assisting me tonight, and really appreciate your assistance there too, Wendy. And that
and my inaugural entry into this show, into the radio show. So you were a great one to start with, Tam. Thank you for springboarding my interview career to the next level.
It's all good fun.
I love it. Are we back next Tuesday?
Yeah, that's a good sign. If they want to come back, Stuart, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're keen on that, so we can talk about that off air. But look, thanks very much, and we're going to sign off tonight. And thanks very much, everybody, for joining us with the Face of Entrepreneurs this evening.
See ya.
Mm-hmm.